he gets caught on tape, saying some derogatory racist thing.
Did you feel like giving him a hug after?
I know.
So much for not speaking ill of the dead. The Undertaker is not holding back. He is finally exposing the ugly truth about Hulk Hogan, and some of it is worse than anyone expected. It all started with one fake injury at Survivor Series 1991, the tombstone that never injured anyone. November 27, 1991 Survivor Series, the night that would define The Undertaker's relationship with Hulk Hogan for the next 3 decades. Picture this: a young Mark Calloway, just 24 years old, standing across the ring from the biggest name in sports entertainment history. The Deadman was about to capture his first WWF championship. What happened after that 3 count would expose the real Terry Bollea in ways that would haunt their relationship forever. This was not just any ordinary championship match. It was the night The Undertaker was supposed to prove he belonged in the main event picture, the night he would establish himself as a legitimate threat to the established order. Hulk Hogan, the golden goose of the WWF, had other plans brewing in that bald head of his. What transpired in those crucial moments would reveal the calculating, manipulative nature that The Undertaker claims defined Hogan's entire career. The setup began hours before the match even started, and it was orchestrated with the precision of a master manipulator.
Would usually show up noon on a TV or pay-per-view day. We show up at the arena around noon, 1 o'clock. Hogan would roll in about 4 or 5. So I remember getting there about noon.
That should have been the first warning sign, brothers. When a veteran like Hogan breaks his routine, when he shows up earlier than usual, you know something is brewing in that political mind of his. The Undertaker knew immediately that something was off about the whole situation.
Act number 1. So he goes, hey kid, I talked to you, right? So we go into one of the locker rooms, into the shower, right? That's where all the business is always done.
Now, brothers, for those of you who don't know the wrestling business inside and out, the shower was sacred ground. That was where real conversations happened, where deals were made, where conflicts were settled. When Hogan pulled the young Undertaker into that shower, he was setting the stage for what would become one of the most elaborate deceptions in wrestling history. The conversation that followed was vintage Hogan manipulation at its finest.
Hulk, believe me, I said, I will protect you. I pride myself on not hurting people, and I promise you, I will have you so tight that there's no way possible that you're going to hurt me.
Listen to that. Hogan was already planting seeds of doubt in The Undertaker's mind. He was not just asking for protection. He was creating a narrative that would serve him long after the match was over. The young Deadman, being the professional he always was, gave Hogan exactly what any respectful wrestler would give a veteran.
In the day, I'd pass him in the hall or whatnot, I could, remember about my neck, right? So that's all I got all day.
But that was not enough for Hogan. Throughout the entire day, he kept reinforcing this narrative, keeping The Undertaker's mind focused on the supposed neck injury.
He was secure.
The psychological warfare was in full effect, and The Undertaker was walking straight into Hogan's trap. But what happened during the actual match finish would expose everything. When that crucial moment arrived, when Ric Flair slid the chair into the ring and The Undertaker hoisted Hogan up for the tombstone piledriver, the real Terry Bollea was about to show his true colors.
I gave him the tombstone. As soon as my knees got higher, you got me, bro.
The Undertaker delivered that tombstone piledriver with the precision and care of a true professional. He had Hogan locked up tighter than Fort Knox, ensuring that there was absolutely no way any injury could occur. But the moment The Undertaker's knees hit the mat, Hogan launched into his Academy Award-worthy performance.
Much like, I'm all these, I'm 24, 25 years old, and, I just crushed Hulk Hogan, right? That's what...
What happened next shows everything you need to know about the difference between a true professional and a master manipulator. While Hogan was writhing around as if he had been hit by a freight train, The Undertaker was absolutely devastated, thinking he had seriously injured the biggest star in the company.
They gave me this opportunity, they gave me the chance to run the ball, and I just hurt the goal.
The guilt was eating The Undertaker alive, brothers. Here was a young man who had just achieved the biggest moment of his career, capturing the WWF Championship, and all he could think about was whether he had permanently injured Hulk Hogan. The psychological manipulation was working perfectly, just like Hogan had planned.
So, I go backstage and I asked him, where's Hulk at, right? Well, he's laying on Vince's office.
The backstage scene that followed was pure theater brothers, and Hogan was playing the lead role to perfection.
In there, he's laid out on the floor, carrying.
Picture this scene. The Undertaker, worried sick about what he thought he had done, rushed backstage to check on Hogan, only to find the Hulkster laid out on Vince McMahon's office floor, surrounded by paramedics and putting on the performance of his lifetime.
They're telling me he's like Mark, because his head wasn't even close to touching McMahon. And I'm like, no, man, I just couldn't hear it. I was like, no, man.
And the drama continued to unfold with Hogan milking every moment for maximum effect. The Undertaker found himself hidden behind a wall with Shane McMahon, forced to watch this elaborate charade play out in front of them. But Shane McMahon, who had a perfect view of the match from ringside, was trying to tell the Undertaker the truth.
Got to see it on that, but by now a lot of the boys have come up to me and they're like shaking their head like, this has never gotten anywhere close to the mat. When you watch it back, you can tell.
The Undertaker was so consumed with guilt and worry that he could not even process what Shane was telling him. The manipulation had worked so effectively that the Undertaker refused to believe the evidence right in front of him. This, brothers, shows you the true genius of Hogan's psychological warfare. It was not until days later, when the Undertaker finally got the chance to review the match footage, that the awful truth was revealed. The evidence was clear as day. Hogan's head never even came close to hitting the mat during that tombstone piledriver. The entire injury claim was a complete fabrication, a masterful piece of manipulation designed to serve Hogan's political agenda.
I've got to confront, the face of wrestling, the biggest draw, ever. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. As a man, I got to know what the hell, but I also know that it's risky, not professional.
The revelation put the Undertaker in an impossible position, brothers. Here he was, still relatively new to the business, having to confront the biggest star in the company about an obvious lie. The political ramifications could have ended his career before it even truly began.
Well, brother, what it was had me so tight that when it came down, I had nowhere to move, and that's what jammed my neck.
When the Undertaker finally worked up the courage to confront Hogan about the obvious deception, the response he received would define their relationship for the next 3 decades. The confrontation took place in San Antonio, and Hogan's excuse was as weak as his integrity. Hogan was actually trying to blame The Undertaker for being too professional, for protecting him too well during the move. The audacity was staggering, but it revealed everything The Undertaker needed to know about the real Terry Bollea. That moment of clarity changed everything for The Undertaker, brothers. The facade had been completely shattered, and he now saw Hogan for exactly what he was, a master manipulator who would sacrifice anyone and anything to protect his own position. The political ramifications of Hogan's deception became clear just 6 days later at this Tuesday in Texas, when The Undertaker was forced to drop the title back to Hogan. Wrestling journalist Jim Cornette later described Hogan's actions as a classic veteran trick designed to guilt-trip newer stars and potentially undermine The Undertaker's brief title reign. The incident at Survivor Series 1991 was not just about one match or one lie, brothers. It was about establishing a pattern of behavior that would define Hulk Hogan's career for decades. The Undertaker's revelation exposed the political machinations and manipulative tactics Hogan used throughout his career to maintain his position at the top of the card. But this was only the beginning of the awful truth about Hulk Hogan. What The Undertaker discovered about Hogan's character would pale in comparison to the scandals and controversies that would later define the Hulkster's career, revealing a pattern of deception that extended far beyond the wrestling ring. If you thought The Undertaker's revelation about that 1991 Survivor Series incident was shocking, you haven't seen anything yet. What we uncovered about Hogan's manipulation tactics in the ring was just the tip of the iceberg compared to the avalanche of controversies that would define his later years. The first major crack in Hogan's carefully constructed image came in the early 1990s, when the steroid scandal rocked the wrestling world. The United States government launched a massive investigation into steroid use within the WWF, targeting Vince McMahon with charges of conspiring to distribute steroids to his wrestlers. As the face of the company, Hogan was inevitably dragged into the controversy. and what he revealed under oath shattered the wholesome image he had spent years building. When Hogan took the witness stand, his testimony was nothing short of explosive. Brothers, under oath, he admitted to using anabolic steroids for over a decade, revealing that he had started using them in the 1970s to achieve the muscular physique that became his trademark. The man who had built his career on being a role model for children was admitting to illegal drug use spanning his entire rise to stardom. But the steroid admission was just the beginning of a pattern of deception that would plague Hogan throughout his career. His reputation for lying became legendary in wrestling circles, with stories ranging from false claims about trying out for Metallica to taking credit for discovering The Undertaker. These were not harmless exaggerations. They were deliberate fabrications designed to enhance his legacy at the expense of others. The most damaging revelation came from Randy Savage, who pulled no punches when describing his relationship with Hogan, exposing the darker side of the Hulkster that had long been hidden behind the bright lights and cheering crowds.